o'clock. Good morning. Welcome to 9 to noon. Ben Leber at Nacho Leber via X. Find him 3 to 4:30 on the television. Twin Cities Live. TCL, yeah, you know we. Weekdays, Channel 5, 3 to 4:30 with our beloved Ben. In fact, coming up today on Twin Cities Live, now that the weather has taken a turn for the better and people will be gallivanting outdoors, what summery cocktails are on the agenda? Sex on the beach? Maybe straight scotch that makes your arms red while your hands remain white? That next on Twin Cities Live.
Oh boy, it was just an ugly one.
You're not entirely wrong with that.
Summer cocktails.
We are doing some version of, I think, spring summery wines today. Mm-hmm. And then your guy down the hall, Mr. Dave Ryan's going to be on our show today.
Right. Yeah, it's he is retired. And
last show tomorrow.
Is it tomorrow?
Yeah.
Because I saw something on X about some big Ballyhooed Mall of America show today or tomorrow or something. It looked like it was packed, man. That was cool.
Yeah, I think it's today he was doing that, and then tomorrow he's going to have his last broadcast. So he's going to come on Twin Cities Live today to talk about his life, his career,
Sweet.
And then what's next.
Yeah, he's radio immortality, and we wish him well. Now, speaking of the word cocktails, cocktails. Do you find Kyler Murray's deep ball accuracy and velocity to be high end, like leaving teams punch drunk? Because I'm not sure what to think about it, and good morning.
You're not sure what to think about it?
Yeah, about his deep ball accuracy and velocity on said passes.
Look, the thing is, like, I can't claim to think that I've watched a lot of game tape of his yet. I've certainly watched a lot of highlights, and off the highlights, I mean, shoot, everybody kind of looks good.
Yeah.
I think that his deep ball game is completely complementary, and it works for his style of game. Mm-hmm. Is he a in-phase deep ball accurate thrower? I don't know if I would say that.
Right.
Can he get the ball down the field when he's on secondary routes and guys are breaking free and he's able to see a guy throw his arm up in the air running on a secondary 9 route? Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, he can do that really well. Can he make off platform throws? 100%. I mean, I think that's the one thing that I find intriguing about him is that because of his baseball background, that he has a really uncanny way of uncorking a deep ball with accuracy, throwing from different platforms, off balance, all this, like maybe not fundamentally in technique and not teaching tape when it comes to young players, but when you're scrambling and running for your life, whether it's his own volition, whether he is breaking the pocket early, whether it's a called play, or, he's just outrunning a blitzer, he can make throws. Mm-hmm. I mean, he can be an absolute playmaker.
Right.
So I would say for the question mark that you have with his ability to get the ball down the field, I think it is very good. I don't know if I'd say it's elite,
right?
But I would say it's very good.
Okay, so what triggered me with this is I was just thinking of the recency, specifically during the Kevin O'Connell run as head coach here, and what I believe some of his expectations are from the quarterback, striking down the field, parts of the field, between the hash marks, middle of the field, attack the middle zone, everything that we saw 2022 and so on when he had the right quarterback or a healthy quarterback looked so good. So if I say Sam Darnold's arm is elite, would you agree?
Yes.
Okay, his arm talent is elite. Cousins, very good, not elite.
Overall strength.
Yep.
Maybe not Sam Darnold.
Mm-hmm.
Ability to layer the football the way a quarterback should, I think he's elite.
Okay. McCarthy, at times, too much on the fastball, but clearly, whether you like him or not, it improved during the course of the year.
It did.
Okay. So that's what I'm trying to get, and maybe we got to watch games. Maybe we got to watch training camp, stuff like that, to get a hold of where Kyler Murray is in that, meshed with what we know the coach wants to do to strike down the field. And, I'm not looking for a comparison here, but the Vikings offense is so good at exploiting the middle of the field. and that seemed to be lost in the equation at times last season. So it's whether what's challenging for young quarterbacks with middle of the field, or just exactly trying to figure out what Kyler Murray does 20 yards and beyond.
Okay,
just thinking about it a little bit.
I think this is a fair, very fair question when you're talking about him, because that has been the question mark. I think the Arizona Cardinals were trying to answer, and what we're going to have to try to answer. And I think that we all hope and think that, based on the reputation and the proof is in the pudding with KOC, that he can take some of these quarterbacks that maybe had some limitations before is able to break through this little proverbial glass ceiling with some of these guys on certain skill sets. So we're hoping that he can do the same thing with Kyler.
Right.
I put this out on social media. It's not the best, I think, interpretation or description when you're putting it into words versus maybe how you can contextualize it with your voice. But I think the biggest question mark with Kyler is he's the most athletic quarterback that we've had here in a really long time.
Yes.
Maybe ever.
Right.
Okay. The question is, can he be the best quarterback that also is an athlete that we've ever seen here?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think the challenge is going to be is we know that he's athletic and can make plays, but can he actually just be a quarterback? Can you be a quarterback in more so than a way that McCarthy couldn't last year? It's been talked about how he didn't have the middle of the field throws. Mm-hmm. He couldn't process maybe what the defense was doing. He couldn't anticipate and be a step quicker on where the holes were going to be in the middle of the field. So we had to pare down our offense last year. Mm-hmm. It was a truncated offense that I'm sure KOC was not happy with, because it really limits what he can do overall. Can Kyler do that? Can Kyler be the quarterback first?
Right.
Can he be the quarterback first in the way that we saw Cousins and Sam Darnold use the field, sideline to sideline, hash mark to hash mark, taking your eyes from one set of numbers to the other set of numbers, doing it quickly and precisely, and then throwing it with accuracy? That's quarterbacking. Mm-hmm. That's what those guys were elite at. But they weren't athletes.
Yeah.
Can Kyler be the quarterback first, run the offense, understand the layers of the offense, understand what the defense is doing pre-snap versus post-snap, mm-hmm. anticipating the movements of these defensive players? Can he throw the ball with anticipation into windows that may not be there when the ball leaves his hand, but that he knows they're going to be there when the ball gets there? Can he be a quarterback first?
Looking off safeties and looking off players.
Safeties, having the nuance of the game. Yeah. That's what's going to explode this offense to something that we want to see, that we saw with Sam Darnold.
Right.
Then if things break down, whether it's a blitz that we don't pick up, whether they're just bringing extra guys that we can't block, that's when we need Kyler's magic, and that's when we need him to run around and use that athleticism. So that
got that 2026 Vikings mind going, didn't we?
Well,
because you leaned up in your chair, all right, it's late May. He's really going to go. Okay. 3-2. That was an awesome answer you just gave.
But I think it's, at least for me personally, that is what I want to see. Can you be successful with him doing the things that he has been doing with Arizona up to this point? Yes, you can. Does that have its own challenges, and does that frustrate and probably annoy not only head coach but also the receivers that are straining to run these routes and get open and do the things that you're supposed to be doing? Will that over the course of time annoy them as well? Yeah, it probably will. So there's going to have to be a balance between the two.
Okay, Patrick Mahomes would be a super HOF high-end example here. Caleb Williams and his rookie year to what he pushed through last year. And they're both athletic. They both can run. I mean, Kyler's faster. Kyler is more adept at run first.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say, that he lacks a swivel or he's a read and a half, 2 read kind of guy. That all will reveal itself when we start watching the games. But with Mahomes and Williams, the way you were talking, I was like, okay, because Williams and Mahomes don't look to run first, but when they run, it breaks your back, especially Patrick. That's what Kyler needs to be. right? The quarterback first, in charge of the business known as the offense. But if business gets bad and you got inflation with the right side of the line and you got tariffs with the left side of this over here, well, you got to make something good out of it. And that's when the running piece comes in. Is that fair?
I think it's fair. I also think that there's something that there's the immeasurables. There's the intangibles.
Mm-hmm.
Kyler's working on that right now.
Blake Moore calls it the it factor.
He's, and Brett's 100%
I came
right.
up with that.
For sure.
You did. I don't know how you came up with it. Maybe just sitting on the toilet or in the shower.
It's the ever quantifiable it factor.
The it factor that Mahomes has, I mean, it's legendary.
Yep.
Right? I don't think that you can say that about Kyler.
Right.
And so I think that is the difference between those examples. Caleb's working on it. I think that he's a work in progress. He's probably getting there. I think he's got that dog in him. He's got that fourth quarter it factor, that intangible that you're looking for, that when everything breaks down, he's just going to find a way. He's going to will his team to win. I'm not sure you can say the same thing about Kyler. So skill sets, similar. Intangibles, not there. And I'll even throw another one on top of this. I think Josh Allen, early in his career, was very much athlete first, quarterback second.
Big time inaccurate.
And he's had to work on being a quarterback first, athlete second.
I love that example.
And so to say that it can't be done is ridiculous. It can be done. And hopefully with all of the snaps and all the experience that Kyler has, seeing the game the way he's seen it for so many years, playing at a high level, that hopefully that learning curve won't be super steep and we can hopefully see it, kind of happen in the first couple weeks of the season.
If Kyler Murray is the full-time starting quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings, would you say this should be, like, say he plays all 17, should this absolutely be the best season he's ever had in his career?
Should be, right? It should be, yes.
And he was Rookie of the Year in 2019. The numbers weren't great. Offensive rookies going for that award that year. Not the most highly rated race in the history of the offensive rookie of the year. Kyler won it. Hey, you can only win whatever race they put in front of you, and he won it.
Yeah.
But, like Darnold a couple of years ago, I believe the majority of the pressure here is on Kyler Murray to know the playbook, to handle it the right way. 18, I've never had anybody like you around me. 3, I played with D-Hop and I played with Fitz right at the end of his career. But, D-Hop's approaching the end of his career. Bro, you're just Addison, you're just starting. So it can be argued the 2 he has there are as good, if not better, than any 2 with whom he's ever played. So now it's learning how to do it and play quarterback the way you put it so eloquently. And it is such a major, major factor for the Vikings this year. But I want to ask you this about something you said earlier about middle of the field and young quarterbacks. Why is it generally so challenging for young quarterbacks making passing plays, big plays, middle of the field?
It's strictly a counting and numbers game as much as an offensive lineman will walk up to the line and say, all right, we're going to count the number of guys in the line of scrimmage. We're going to count the guys in the box. We're going to count the threats, the quote unquote threats. And they make their line calls based on what those threats are. Same thing happens in the passing game. When you look at between the hashes, which when you look at the NFL, much narrower than it is in college, you're talking about number of threats in the middle of the field. Typically on any given play, you've got 2 safeties. You got 2 safeties. They might be rocking and rolling. They might be showing different things. You don't know if they're going to be 2 high, single high, or whatever, but you're going to have probably 2 safeties middle of the field at that third level. The second level, you could have anywhere between 1 to 2 linebackers in that area. You could have 2 linebackers that drop just outside the hash, and then you also have a zone blitz coming where you got a defensive lineman that's dropping out. And he's going to be that middle hole player. Hey. So at any one passing play, you could, if you extend just outside the hashes, 5 players standing there to kind of guard those areas. What happens on the outside the numbers?
So are they more taking that away or trying to fool you into
Both.
a take the cheese so I can take the
Well,
ball.
it's both. I mean, that's where the creativity, all these coordinators and coverages and stuff. There's only so many coverages that you can run. It's just a matter of how do you get to those spots. And that's assuming that you're playing a zone coverage. I mean, if you're playing a man coverage, and you got to figure out the leverage, and you got to figure out who's the free player, and is there just one free player? Is there two free players?
Bro, that's a lot.
The thing is, as I just kind of spit all this stuff out.
No wonder Jordan Love has struggled as much early in his career. That's just a lot, Double B. anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, okay.
Does he always have to wear some sort
Every
of
single day.
green base something every day?
Well, it's been a minute, actually.
No,
since
but
I
he
have,
knew for the next 2 days he's producing 9 to noon. So with the purple and gold, cartoon character here, he had to roll. He had to troll. He had to troll roll with his green and gold.
Yeah, it's one thing if he's going to step in for Tenna, and wear a common show or something, but he's working 9 to noon and he wears a Packers shirt.
Oh, that's fine.
What a troll job.
I know, troll roll.
Okay, so basically, as I kind of just spit all that
3-2.
stuff out, it's a numbers game. It gets really cloudy in the middle of the field. If you look on the outside, you're looking at cornerbacks. You might have a dropping linebacker that's going to buzz underneath, or again, you have a defensive end that's going to drop underneath. But those are typically they're not going further than maybe 8 yards in coverage. So everything's just cleaner on the outside. And as long as you understand where the cornerback's leverage is, it's easier to throw into those windows. So the middle of the field is murky. It's cloudy. It's like it's amoeba. It's kind of always changing. It progresses within, after the snap, and it'll change based on how the defenders see what the route coverages are and where the routes are going. So I can understand why a lot of quarterbacks, especially young quarterbacks, especially coming right from college, are like, "Ooh, boy, that area of the field, don't like that area of the field," especially if I'm trying to anticipate, where the windows are going to be, because how many big time throws have you seen from like Aaron Rodgers or some of these guys where the ball's being thrown, you're like, where is he throwing that?
Right.
Oh, and the guy runs right behind a flat-footed defender, linebacker that's just reading his eyes, and he just can't get a hand on it.
Last one on Kyler, a quarterback, and this portion of the Nacho Libre equation, 9 to noon. All right, so how would you handle this if you were Kevin O'Connell? All right. Murray takes off unexpectedly for a 12-yard run and a first down. When reviewing the play, it's clear, said Kyler, had he waited a smidge longer, one or two receivers would have busted open for bigger gains. But remember, he ran for 12 and got a first down. How would you handle that? And I know we can get into what part of the game, and what was the score and all that, but just the general overarching philosophy. Dog, nice run. 12 yards, got us a first down. Looking back at it, oh, geez, wait another half second, 18 bust loose middle of the field on a deep slant. Or whatever, and 3 gets loose on a double move if you just had waited a little longer.
Well, first of all, I wouldn't say anything in game. In game, I'd be attaboy, great play, way to move the chains, right? In film review, I would say same thing, attaboy, good job, move the chains, but let's look at this from an all 22 in an end zone view. You're a starting quarterback. You got to act like the starting quarterback, and being available, given your history, is a big issue. So let's try to limit the number of contacts and hits that we have on you, because you're going to take sacks. That's just going to happen. All right. So we don't need you running around out there this whole time trying to play Superman and taking all these hits as a little guy. Here's this guy open, and by that point in time, I'm going to guess you're going to have like that guy's open. The next play, if he scrambles around, that guy's open. Let those guys do the work. Have them do the yeoman's work. Have them take the extra hits. Those guys that they're built to take those hits like that. I think it's just a learning thing that's going to happen over the course of the early parts of the season of, hey, great job. I don't want you to ever not be a playmaker. Be a playmaker. That's why we brought you here. But also trust in the guys that we have out there. We have built this team around you with the really, really talented skill position players that are going to take those hits for you and probably get extra yards for you and get extra yards for this offense. So I think it's just going to be a slow, positive reinforcement. I don't think you ever get super mad at it, but I'd certainly get mad at it if it's week 7 or 8 and he takes an unnecessary hit and then blows his shoulder out or is out for a couple games.
Right.
And it'll be like, Kyler, we've been talking about this the whole year. Keep your eyes up. We got guys that can help you out. And more often than not, if you play the law of averages, those guys probably going to get more yards than you.
It's like Blakemore when he had an opportunity to go to the Packers locker room after a border battle. The media relations guy looked at him. First thing he said was, "Hey kid, eyes up."
I always love that.
Meat picker.
I'm all over that boy right now.
I always love that one.
He's Ben Leber. I'm Paul Allen. Double B rocks, and he has some money to give away. And good morning.
And good morning to Fan and BigDeck.com. I'm going to give you a shot to win bonus bucks with the National Cash Contest at KFAN.com. The keyword is fun. The keyword is fun. KFAN.com. Keyword fun.
It's PA.
What we need. The Lake Amphitheater. Legendary Bob Dylan will be there July 6th. Motley Crue August 21st. Santana and the Doobie Brothers August 27th. You can get complete details on all of our upcoming shows on the concert page, KFAN.com. Keyword calendar.
So with Minnesota Vikings organized team activities taking place right now, if and organized team activities around the NFL, if this week, so like say this week as part of the scheduled pattern, say this week a team works offense, defense, separate times. So in other words, like 11 o'clock for an hour, offense is out there, and noon for an hour, defense is out there without the offense. Then, like next week, they get together and practice at the same time. Like, how much of an 11-on-11 practice can that be? Like, organized team activity practice. Like what is it? What's important about it?
Well, I think they can. I think that there's this very subjective term that they use for competitive periods. That I think, it's monitored. I think there's some grace period when it comes to the NFL and the NFLPA and like what is allowed and not allowed. The way I understand it, the typical wide receiver versus corner, the defensive end versus offensive tackle, those drills and even in those team periods are not supposed to be hand-to-hand combat, super physical, super competitive.
Right.
So, they do a lot of time in groups where
it's still very mental.
It's competitive. It's shadowing. It's body placement. It's just more like it is truly supposed to be more of a mental part of the off season. But yeah, I think they do a fair amount of 11-on-11, but it's certainly not what you would say is competitive. When they're doing a team passing period and they have the defensive line there, it is kind of taking 2 or 3 good hard steps, and it is some jostling going around, but you're not going 100%. And you certainly physically get going 100% because you don't have your pads on. You just have your helmets on. So
what's important for your first round pick with the bad foot? So he ain't going to be running around with everybody maybe until June-ish or whatever. But like during all of this, if you're Caleb Banks and Ryan Nielsen's the new defensive line coach, got B-Flow as the defensive coordinator, what's important for them with him, given he can't get out there on the grass?
Well, it's a matter of can he not get on the grass at all?
I don't know.
If he can get on the grass and do a lot of the installs where the defensive line is lined up maybe against either dummies, whether they be cans or actually just like dummy players. There's a lot he can do. I mean, there's a lot that you can say, like, you can tempo-wise say, all right, here's the play call. Let's go. Let's get lined up. This is the call. This is the formation. This is what, you can have a quarterback, you can do a cadence. You can throw guys in motion. You can do guys shifts. You can practice all the mental gymnastics. And then for defensive linemen, it's not like Harrison Smith on the complete opposite side of that position where he's at the line of scrimmage. He's got to run all the way back to the deep post or vice versa. If you're a defensive lineman and you get an audible, you might shift from one outside shoulder to the next outside shoulder of the guard or tackle. And you're like, that's the only movement pre-snap that you have to do. Mm-hmm. And then once they snap the fake football, then it's just like you take one or two steps into your gap and you're just kind of like, okay, that's all important. I mean, it's like, it's not hard, but mentally for a new guy that needs to just go through the process of, here's the play call. What's my responsibility? What's my assignment? What's my footwork going to be? Where am I supposed to line up on this guy? What do I have to think about? What do I have to listen for from an audible standpoint? So there's a lot he can do. It just won't be very physical.
So with Brian Flores' defense and all the tricks and everything, do you believe it's difficult to learn? And the reason I ask is because you were super smart when you played, man. But I mean, I'll never forget after 2011 when you went to St. Louis, and you weren't necessarily a big fan of Steve Spagnuolo's defense. Mm-hmm. Maybe because of when you got there, and it's hard to learn from what I understand.
Very
okay.
Difficult.
Well, I mean, like Brian's defense, can you imagine trying to learn that, and would you need a long amount of time?
Well, the funny thing is, when I was talking to Harrison about this, second time I referenced Harrison Smith.
Well, you got steam?
No, it's just funny that, I used his name twice now. I talked to him a couple years ago about this, and he was saying how the defense is not complicated. He goes, it's a ton of window dressing. We practice a lot when it comes to just how we look pre-snap.
Ooh.
But
that's sweet.
He's like, when it comes to the actual coverages and our responsibilities, he's like, it's not as hard as you think. So no, I don't think these young guys, I don't think Jake Golday is going to come in and be, super, super swamped. You have terminology. Yes, you're learning a different language. You have to now assimilate what your old coverages and what your old responses were at Cincinnati. And like, okay, what's the correlation to that with this word? Same responsibility. Yeah. Again, I mentioned that there's only so many coverages. There's only so many places a linebacker can drop. What was it called at Cincinnati? What's the relative call that's here in Minnesota? How can I make that connection? And how can I kind of flip that terminology in my brain to make me think faster? That's what he's going to have to worry about. From a defensive line standpoint, I don't think it's going to be too difficult, especially for an interior defensive lineman. Once he gets up and running with the way that they run some of their blitzes, and he now is, let's say he's in a sub package. Now I'm talking about Caleb Banks again. If he's in a sub package where, hey man, you're not really a 3 technique on this play. You're a stand-up rusher that's sort of a pseudo defensive end outside linebacker because we're going to have you insert in this area, but you're going to line up over here. That'll be new for him. Mm-hmm. That'll take some time. And that's something that's probably best to be done in full speed with pads on to get the feeling of it and to get the timing of it. But, for the most part, it is just learning that secondary language of what B-Flow wants to ask of you, what the play call is. And then it's just a matter of doing a lot of class time. And, it becomes sort of like going back to school. These guys should be going home with their notebooks and studying for an hour or so every day and just making sure that they have everything down pat from what they learned today and what the install is going to be for tomorrow.
Nacho Lieber.
Hardcore football.
And
time for 2 more.
With the right to change the opinion when we start watching it in training camp, how much do you expect running back Damon Claiborne to play this season?
A lot. I actually think a lot. Mm-hmm. I think very highly of what he can do. I don't know his mental makeup. I don't know if he's a very, intelligent player. I don't know if he's going to, pick up the offense the way that we need to. I know that he had a new offensive coordinator last year at Wake Forest. They had a whole new coaching staff, and his offensive coordinator came from South Alabama, where they're very, very successful. And previously, he was at University of Alabama, so the coordinator's seen some things, right? Been around a lot of talented players, and he was saying that Damon has a skill set as good as anybody that he's been around, and not just from his vision, his jump cutting ability, and his lateral quickness and his vertical speed, but he was very complimentary of what he could do in pass protection, of what they were asking him to do and what the previous regime had him do in pass protection. So if all of that stuff carries over and he can pick up being a third down running back, well, man, I tell you what, I think that he could be an immediate contributor, not just in kickoff return game, in special teams, but I think the guy has a good chance to play a lot just because he is so fast and so dynamic, and the fact that he can catch the ball in the backfield.
Does Jacoby Thomas have a chance to splash big and end the year, at least in the conversation, being considered as one of the most important people on defense? Or is that too much of a leap right now?
Well, expectation-wise, I don't think it's too much of a leap, and I don't think it's too much to ask.
He's going to play a lot, isn't he?
I think so as well. Yeah, and I think that we talk about a position of need. I mean, we were just talking about Claiborne, maybe not a high position of need when we were talking about the draft, but certainly safety was. I mean, we were talking about safety being the 18th pick.
Right.
So the fact that the expectation is high, no, that's just what it is. Like, we need a safety that can operate in the vein of Harrison Smith and what he's set and what the standard is here. And if he can come in here and be that ball hawk that he was in college, and he can be that fluid playmaker like he was in college, then yes, that's what this defense needs. And we've seen time and time again when Harrison was not in the lineup at the start of the season, it was a different looking defense.
Yeah, right.
It just operated differently. Mm-hmm. I think we all collectively, after the first couple of games when he was not on a pitch count and we saw Harrison back in, we kind of took a collective deep breath like, this is what our defense is supposed to look like. So yes, that position's very, very important, and he's got big shoes to fill, and he's gonna, I think, immediately be in a competitive spot to win that spot.
Are you familiar with a defensive player named Isaiah Loudermilk?
Not necessarily, no.
Yeah, well, I wasn't really either. He's played for the Pittsburgh Steelers 2021 to 2025. Defensive tackle, 6'7", 293. Just signed with the Minnesota Vikings.
We're coming.
2018 underwent knee surgery, played for the Badgers many years ago. So another body to finish organized team activities. Isaiah Loudermilk, a former Badger, member of the Minnesota Vikings. Do you watch do you watch the NBA playoffs at all?
I had it on last night.
Okay.
Yeah, so I watched the Spurs game.
Victor Wembanyama.
Yeah.
You're familiar.
Very familiar.
Okay,
yeah.
Beloved Wemby. When you watch Wemby play, what are some things at which you marvel? Because we indeed are witnessing a transcendent player.
I mean, everything. I had a chance to watch him last year at the Target Center.
Oh, wow.
Which was phenomenal to see, a guy that doesn't look human.
Yep.
Doesn't look like he's the same species. And I mean that in the most, complimentary way, because...
Well, his nickname's Alien.
Right.
People call him Alien. It's weird.
He moves for that size and really for that build. He's a skinny dude. Mm-hmm. He doesn't have a lot of muscle mass. It's remarkable what he can do with his body. His body proprioception of like knowing where he is in space. The ball control, the fact that he can actually dribble up the court. He can play, beyond the arc if he needs to. Obviously, it's not where you want a guy that tall, but he just seems to be unguardable. Now, they shut him down a little bit last night, and you can body him up, and you can get physical with him. I mean, he's not without weaknesses, and he's still only 19 years old. I just think the guy is
what? Wemby's 19-ish?
Is he like 19?
Oh, geez. I thought it was like 22. Damn. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, you might want to fact check that, Brad, but I think he's still technically a teenager.
Oh, my heavens.
He's 22.
Oh, he's 22?
Yeah, he's 22. He was born right around the day the Minnesota Vikings, he was born, I think, on the day or right around the day the Minnesota Vikings rolled into Sun Devil Stadium to make the playoffs, bounce Green Bay from it. Josh McCown, Nathan Poole. No! He was born January 4th, 2004. That game was somewhere around that time. Yeah.
Okay, so I stand corrected. I thought he was much younger than that. It doesn't matter. He's still a young phenom that's going to be possibly one of the best to ever play the game.
Right.
But I thought it was interesting watching him play. You see a lot of big men that can't shoot free throws.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He can shoot.
Great point.
I'm like, well, okay.
And it's smooth.
So what's the excuse for Rudy Gobert, Shaq back in his day? Like, what's the excuse for these guys with giant hands? You got Wemby out here with giant hands and long-limbed, and he's actually looking like a good shooter. So it can be done. I thought the way it was Hartenstein.
Mm-hmm.
I thought the way that they were able to body him up. Even Chet was bodying him up pretty good. I mean, I think you can get physical with this guy. I'm just surprised, we couldn't be more physical with him when we played.
You are elite. We'll watch you on TV today, 3 to 4:30, Channel 5, Twin Cities Live. And that's, again, each and every weekday. Thank you, Ben.
Good to see you, man.
You too.
Bye-bye.
At Nacho Liber via X. Brett Blakemore is today's producer, likewise for tomorrow. And when he's around, at about 10:45, 10:46, we unfurl something called Brett's Bits and Bet, or Brett's Bit and Betza. And that's coming up next on KFAN.
Let PA be your playlist.
Pull up your
Hey, News du Nord, or Brett's Bits and Bet, or Bit and Bets, provided by Canterbury Park and CanterburyPark.com. Live racing at Canterbury begins Saturday at 5 o'clock.
Can you believe this? KZ Bay at 30-1 wins the Lady Canterbury.
CanterburyPark.com to learn about Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Saturday at 5, Sunday and Monday, Memorial Day at right around 1 o'clock. Kevin Gorg is going to be in studio here to discuss that for a little bit. Around the corner is one of our analysts at Canterbury Park, and we'd love to see you out there. CanterburyPark.com for information. Here comes Double B.
Number one.
Or if you're feeling the felt.
Yeah, you're feeling.
Number one.
Hey, eyes up, man. Stop! Hey, welcome to the Vikings locker room. It's beautiful, isn't it? Sorry we just beat your favorite team, the Packers. Hey, what, Sam? Yeah, Double B.
This is great carpet you've got in here.
Eyes up, man.
Yeah.
Stop!
Both the NHL and the NBA had a game last night and have a game tonight in the conference finals. So last night, the NHL, the Golden Knights beat the Colorado Avalanche, McCarless Avalanche, 4-2. I've just realized, looking at that game, if you look at the series of events, if you squint your eyes and you rub your eyes a little bit, it looks very familiar. Vegas goes up 3-0 on the road.
Wow.
All of a sudden, here comes Colorado in the third period. They score.
Yeah.
They pull the goaltender. They score again. Uh-oh, now it's a one-goal game.
Wow.
But then Vegas, they score an empty netter, and that's that. So 4-2 is your final, which, by the way, that it was not out of the question for the Wild to just send one the length of the ice into the empty net, and we're going to Game 6.
Let it out.
On a Good Friday here in Minneapolis, potentially.
Let it out.
With Wild and Wolves both in a Game 6. So
let it out, man. It's important. That's why I opted to come in today, because rumor had it you were still apoplectic and struggling with the dismissal of the Minnesota Wild. So we put Heinze in the mix for the season autopsy to help you with that therapeutic Davenport of love. Hopefully it did. No PK questions from yours truly. Why? Because I can't imagine how many times he's been asked of late, whether it's like fans, he's just like at a grocery store trying to buy some overpriced stuff, or personnel meetings, or meeting with the GM, or meeting with players, or Russo Radio, penalty kill, PK. So I'm like, you know what, man, I'm just going to leave that one out.
It's weird for the guy who was in charge of the United States penalty kill who was perfect.
It's
in the
unbelievable.
entire Olympics.
18 or 19 for 19, though.
And then that same coach comes back, and I get Dallas has a historically good power play, and no one else is going to stop them. It was a problem.
Felt good, didn't it?
It did.
To get that tumult out. You got a big move coming up. You got other people for whom you're speaking these days. Yes. You don't want to bring that lingering angst from one of your favorite distractions into your personal covenant.
That's correct.
And ruin Christmas like I did in 2004 when your team, led by former Packers kicker, soon-to-be Vikings kicker Ryan Longwell, he walked off on us 2 times that year. Okay, the score of each game, 2004, 34-31 Green Bay. The second one happened to be on Christmas Day, and it was a middle afternoon start, like 3:05, 3:25. So I'm rolling into a Christmas gathering at 7:30, 7:45, mistletoe, eggnog, kids happy, waiting for Santa, stuff like that. My daughter's 1 or 2, my boy's 4, and I just came in.
Stop!
I mean, just the most negative. Negative. No! I was so negative. I'm not saying that I went Grinch on it and ruined Christmas, but I vowed from that moment on, I ain't going to ruin holidays over a sports team. And then we took a bad loss the next year, and I came home and ruined Thanksgiving. So that's why it's important for you to get these things out. Double B, surrogate nephew.
Yeah, she deals with enough as it is. The other game tonight, Canadiens versus the vacationing Carolina Hurricanes.
Time! Kevin Gorg is going to be in here in 10 minutes. And I did not watch much of Vegas Golden Knights and Avs last night. So if you are so inclined, prepare a couple of questions off that series for Senor Spotty.
Okay.
We'll need 2 or 3. I have 1. Brett Howden. Heard of him? You've heard of him, right?
Great name.
Yeah, it's for the Vegas Golden Knights. Yeah, Brett Howden. My man scores in road games. I think he scored in 6 consecutive postseason road games. So while some are considering themselves road warriors, that man is a road warrior. Brett Howden scores on the road all the time. Who knew?
Number 2.
The NBA, on the other hand, the Spurs lose Game 2 to the Thunder, 122-113. And then tonight, you get Game 1 of the Cavs and Knicks at MSG. Oh, no, sorry, Game 2, excuse me.
Yeah.
The Knicks up 1-0 in the series.
I know you're not a big NBA guy, but it's a conference final there, too. And Cleveland, what Cleveland was doing to the New York Knickerbockers at the world's most famous arena, Madison Square Garden, through like the first 3 quarters and 2 minutes should have been a felony in 48 states.
I always love that one.
But then they stopped playing, and the Knicks came charging from 18 down, ran by them. I think game went to overtime, and they ended up kind of low-key blowing them out. So big statement by the Knicks. I think the Spurs beat Oklahoma City in this series. I do believe it'll go 7, and I do believe Wembanyama and that cast will win at Oklahoma City in Game 7. I'm a believer. And from a hockey standpoint, Montreal into Carolina this evening. Cole Caulfield on the power play is the bomb. He's not like, and you've watched, he's not right circle Ovi guy or the Ovi circle, the McKinnon circle. Oh, he's in the circle. It's just, that's like, he's so fast. And when it's 3-on-3, which is not in the postseason ever, if there's a better 3-on-3 player in the NHL, I'd have to see it. And I haven't watched a lot of Celebrini, but it's just, he's so fast. Suzuki's the bomb. They got this new hook guy who's the bomb I'd never heard of. Yeah, Montreal's cool, man. And it's like, it's, people won't say this about the New York Yankees or maybe the Dallas Cowboys, but like when Montreal is, I think it's cool when Montreal is good. Like when they can get to the Stanley Cup. I mean, but I go back to Dryden. I go back to Guy Lafleur, right at the end of Jacques Lemaire, and so on. Just Montreal is just a cool team, especially when it's good, and this team is good.
Number 3.
It's an emotional return, and I could not care less about this program, but if we get more, clips like this, I'm happy about it.
Where can this team go from here, Coach?
So we've got to go beat Ole Miss next week. We'll take it one game at a time.
Congratulations.
Go Tigers.
So good.
Was that the Orgeron bid?
That's Orgeron, and guess what?
What?
He's back.
Yes?
They have finalized a deal, LSU, to add Ed Orgeron to its football coaching staff. It announced last night. So I believe he's going to be an assistant already.
Really?
So
that's Lane Kiffin now, right?
It is. So he's an assistant on Kiffin's staff.
Okay. I mean, maybe it was all allegations, rumors, happenstance, gossip, small-minded, small talk. But I do believe Orgeron was booted out of the Covenant and was something that was kind of salacious or something was a little off-putting. I don't know what it was, but they just booted him right out of the Covenant. Could be wrong. A quick Google search could either box me up or corroborate what I'm saying. But then Lane Kiffin rolls in there, and he's just like pushing every single envelope you possibly can push, including bringing back Orgeron.
Give credit to Alabama, man. They came back. They're a championship football team, but we knew we was going to win that game today. We started off Monday knowing we're going to win this game.
So good.
Well, that's some I don't want to say deep Cajun, but that's some deep Louisiana talk right there.
One more.
Number 4.
Number 4.
I was thinking about it during the opening segment and the opening hour, and you were saying that the Avs are more gettable than the Spurs.
Yep.
I think I'm going to disagree and go the opposite way, and I'm going to make the Brett's bets hammering a plus 220.
The best.
That the Avs will win the Stanley Cup.
Oh, you can get 220 on them now.
You get plus 220.
Well, then
Hurricanes are the favorite right now to win the Stanley Cup.
Okay. Well, Anderson has been the best goaltender of all the teams in the postseason. Don't at me, because it's right. It's not my opinion. It's statistically right. So, if the Colorado Avalanche, after one measly loss without their best defenseman, and I know Vegas was down Mark Stone, and that does matter, but if Colorado already has gone to plus 220 to win the series,
win the cup.
Oh, to win the cup.
Yeah.
I was going to be like, McCarr's not playing in the entire series if that's the number. To win the cup plus 220. I like that.
Yeah, that's what I'm...
Bro, I like that a lot.
So, Hurricanes
until you run into these Carolina Hurricanes and they play this... They play this style, this scheme that slows everything down. Neutral zone trap this. Anderson blocker save that. Carolina's just one of the strangest teams in all of pro sports. They're good every single year. They have a chance to win a championship every single year. They've been to the playoffs 8 years in a row. This is their 4th time in the last 8 years in the conference finals. And I think they closed on it one time, right? Yeah, I think they got a cup out of it, or maybe not. Maybe they're the Buffalo Bills, Minnesota Vikings of the NHL. But they're good every single year.
Yeah.
They just make life difficult on speedy teams like the Avs.
There you have it.
So that's the bet?
I'm taking the Avs to win the Cup plus 220.
You're the bomb. Into the final hour of today's presentation. Happy Thursday. It's a beautiful Thursday. And you're listening to 9 to noon at FM 100.3 KFAN.
It's PA.
You make me feel like a natural woman.
Weekdays 9 to